Right, everybody, hello, and welcome to the virtual launch of Ripples, our 70th anniversary anthology, born out of the wonderful work by the team, Fran, Simon, Lynn, Derek, and the poetry selectors for Ripples that kept us in touch all the way through our lockdowns, and has been so popular that we've kept it going. So we decided we'd use all the wonderful submissions as the core for this new anthology. And Elizabeth Cook very kindly made the selection for us. And if you haven't already got a copy, you can get it from the website. I will now hand over to our first reader, who is Andre.
Hi, everybody. Lovely to be with you and to see so many of you here. So really nice to be able to kick off this event this evening. I was very chuffed that Elizabeth selected this tribute to my mum, who died, well, just before COVID, right at the end of 2019. And I'd been thinking about writing something about her for a while after she died. And one of our favourite activities was to go blackberrying down the lanes behind the house at Thorpe Ness. And obviously, once I thought, okay, I'm going to write about this, I realised that the title "Burying" was now apt in another way as well. Burying in memory of Erica June Morgeau, 1921 to 219. Souls in the thicket, birds rustle invisibly over the path where an adder basks in the sun slant. We carry our punnets, stacked as tiny cribs, into a dappled lane, and a few steps apart enter our quiet and familiar trance. Bountiful clusters, dark, inky treasure. Through numberless autumns, our fingers, our lips, never quite lost their imprint or sweetness. No more than the dishes you fill with the fruit of those rituals, sumptuous sponges, their gooey underside a bubbling, irresistible nectar. Fruit of your love, of our labour, borne home together on purpled evenings in their pale, open caskets.
Thank you, Andre. Pat, would you like to unmute yourself now?
This is a mixture of every holiday I ever had as a child, and probably other people's as well. Holiday memory. From the coast road, Springley Square, car crammed, the family, bull-bumptious, descends to the shore. Aunt Maud mumbles a knuckle Kyrie eleison of never-ending keeper-key prayers against rain. Uncle Owen, bottle party bovate, sets out drinks foursquare, while baby Anne, duck dummy, milk teeth mine, crybaby, spinach spitting, sobs on the sand. Cousin Willie, 2 times tables of sandwiches, next to father's drum duchy, with his spouse special tobacco treasury and orange peel organisation. Wearing her haberdashery handy straw hat, mother, nightdress nifty, certificate chatty, sits Empress Enigma on her silver strand. Despot direct, drop dwindle feeding, the fidgety, pastry peckish children as they bucket bustle, sandcastle building. At bank holidays end, traipsing back to Trunk Road Tuesdays, the car's hostage houseful returns to minute book miseries and ashpan aspidistras, to wait, promising proper, for the next Jam Jehovah all-allowed holiday, with a sand-scattered hold-all homecoming, leaving the darkening beach, night watch noble to the bow-legged breeze. The end.
Thank you very much, Pat.
Yeah.
I think that rang memories for an awful lot of us.
Yeah.
Colin.
It's probably the only poem I wrote about lockdown. And it was when I'd been reading about what really happens inside a cocoon to change a caterpillar into a butterfly. Metamorphosis locked down. This metamorphosis is a messy business. Wrap a cocoon tightly round it. No one wants to see this. The flesh dissolving into pulp, the gut gorging on it. Yet magic ensues. A new body freshly formed, wrought from imaginal discs. And one day, the cocoon no longer serves. Its purpose is gone. It is time for the world to see this new form, admire its grace and beauty. But this enforced cocoon protects, distances the tainted other that dangles its poisoned load outside, while inside we labour to form a new body of work from imagination, discrete pulses of light in a shadowed cage. No one wants to see the messy business of creation.
Thank you, Colin. And now Valerie Denton, The View Through the Window.
This poem is where I grew up, and I think you'll probably guess where, but no prizes for guessing. I woke one early morning as a child to a view across the railway lines of a twin-towered stadium, snowbound, frosted, twinkling like a Russian palace. I wanted to fly to it, this place like a fairy tale. Below me, gardens and allotments, starlit and full of wonder, in the make-believe outside. From my room, I felt my heart wakening, stirring, and my body trying to take flight. Now, I just have to picture it, and I'm there, flying, still.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Elizabeth.
This was English. The grammar had been 2 years admitting girls when we arrived in 1962. Scraps of schoolboy slang could still be heard across the dinner tables. We knew which old men resented change. Mr. Hawthorne, English teacher, was toughest disciplinarian in the school. He's always been there, man and boy, my mother commented. What does he know? She had forgotten his war years. 2 decades on, teachers' reminiscences still surfaced in the classrooms. One day, he told us, in the Middle East where he had fought, the women always walked behind their men, with one exception. Should there be landmines up ahead, they always sent the women out in front. It felt the whole class laughed with him, apart from me.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Yes, Angela Pickering.
Before my husband died some years ago, he put this in a Christmas cracker, if you can see it, and it sits on the windowsill over there, and this poem is about that, a much more younger picture of him. It's called With Me. Each morning, I come down to see your picture on the windowsill and hope that you will smile at me. You don't respond. I think maybe you're fast asleep. You are so still. Each morning, I come down to see. I go to fetch a cup of tea, for I have quite some time to kill. Hope then that you will smile at me, thinking of all the times that we would laugh before you fell so ill. Each morning I come down to see, recall one day so fresh, carefree, climbing together up that hill. You waited, then you smiled at me. We lingered there beneath a tree until the sky grew dark and chill. Each morning I come down to see if you will turn and smile with me.
Thank you, Angela. Very skillful structure there, as well as a wonderful poem. Gordon.
All I can say about this piece is that it actually saved me a lot of earache. Sketch of the day, 24 April 2020. It's such a good day of jobs getting done. And then there's a fumble, breaking a pot. And rocked by the tumble, you tremble and shake such a lot. At first at the shock, and the sound of the crash and the sight of the shards on the ground. And then at what you thought you'd forgot, as memories fly out of the broken pot. What you thought was empty these years and years was full to the brim with heavy and light, and shedding a tear would only be right.
Lovely, important moments captured tonight. Thank you very much, Gordon. Sheila Lockhart's poem, Waiting for the Magi, is going to be read by Sue Wallace-Shaddad.
Waiting for the Magi, after T.S. Eliot. Today, in the very dead of winter, we blessed our home, an ancient ritual, but new to us. It was easy enough, a stick of chalk and the right password, strong, of letters, numerals, and just one symbol, plus mark. We stood self-consciously outside the door and read out loud, but not too loud, from the leaflet the priest gave us, half an eye on the street, in case the neighbour was out with his dog. He would have stopped to ask, "What the F?" Then the tallest among us took the chalk and scrawled the coded invitation over the door. No easy task on Pebble Dash. And so our home was blessed, and we exchanged a sign of peace. In other words, we hugged. It was all folly, you may say, but when you're done, you might feel different, feel a softness creep up as you recall the tale of those who travelled in hope along deep ways and, like us, found love. It was such a long journey.
And Sue's also going to read Anne Boylow's poem, because she can't make it.
Yeah, this is a prose poem. It's fairly long, called Evidence in Song, and it has an epigraph which is taken from a book, Maps and Dreams by Hugh Brodie. And the epigraph is, "We do not inherit the land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." And this is a piece of Indigenous wisdom. At the inquiry into the Trans Mountain Pipeline Expansion Project, an elder of the Inuit people was called to give evidence on behalf of the Assembly of First Nations. Their lawyer announced that she would be presenting her evidence in song. The barrister acting on behalf of the Crown protested, saying that evidence delivered through song was inadmissible. However, the chair overruled the objection and gave the woman leave to sing, whereupon she sang. She sang the song of her people, in the tongue of her people. She sang for a day and a half, and all the people in the courtroom listened, adjourning every 2 hours for short breaks. She stood barefoot in the witness box, singing the song of her blood, passed down, mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter. It was the song of lines, dream lines, timelines, kinship lines, hunting lines, deer trails, wolf trails, caribou trails, the mournful solitary moose waiting to be found, beaver dams and halts in rushing rivers, the run of salmon, sturgeon, herring, the silvering of the eel, the unconcerned moon as she waxes and wanes, the pull and push of tides, the creak and shift and flow of ice, the hum of snow, all manner of snow, wolf song, whale song, narwhal song, seal song, white bear, brown bear, grizzly bear. She sang of aurora borealis, the redress of equinox in spring and autumn, the retreat and return of the light, the beating of wings and crying of geese as they obeyed the law of continuing, dogs and sleighs, snowmobiles, harpoons, guns and traps, waymarks and landmarks, makeshift shelters, caches of frozen carcasses, the essence of fire. She bore witness by way of a song, handed down from beyond memory. Her evidence was duly recorded, translated, typed up, processed, filed. It was taken into consideration at the final deliberations and summing up.
Thank you, Sue, for reading those two. Now, can Karen Whitney, could you unmute yourself and read your poem? Thank you, Karen.
A Portal for the Sun. Stonehenge's trilithon, whose sides symbolize the autonomic nervous system, holds strong the connecting lintel, representing the third eye, the place of consciousness. The sun's rays through this potent frame rise over the heelstone at midsummer during the days of greatest light, give expression to what is, land to rest on the stone of measurement, a true calibration of the now. The enlivening force, no longer present, although the portal remains, sustains those sleeping in the west, those who will one day awake to their light within, the sun rising over their own heelstone.
Thank you, Karen. And now the next one on that we're going to hear is Julia Duke.
Thank you, Beth. This is another holiday memory like Pat's. It dates back to a holiday that we had in Tenby in Wales. And if you followed us around on our holidays, you'd generally see a middle-aged couple sat on a bench somewhere looking at a view and both engaged in our own pursuits. Doug would be sketching it and I would be writing about it. So there's actually a sketch probably somewhere hidden in a sketchbook that goes with the poem, but here's the poem. Tenby Watch. White wings outstretched, dipped in black ink, quill poised, ready above the white page to capture these sights, these sounds, memories of a summer's day. The gannet flies, lazily flapping, hovers, then plunges deep into the blue sea, where a small white motor launch trails its white streamers across the bay. My pen hovers, hesitates, then plunges too, headlong into a sea of minute detail, fishing for the essential truths of the day, buried in the depths of awareness. Raucous gulls scream in the background, muted by distance, softened, then silenced. Flocking and wheeling, I survey them, superior from my grassy hilltop vantage point. Castle ruins defended by lonely cannons keep watch down the years with diligence, relegating my temporary vigil, my capricious whim, to a mere moment of transient tourism. Children's voices from the distant strand awaken me, bring me back to my present purpose. The gannet soars on the wind, dips in the wave, then abandons this upstart holidaymaker for wilder shores.
Thank you for evoking a coast on the far side of the country. Hugh Lake's poem is going to be read by Andre.
It's called Autumn. Autumn is as autumn is, as it will eternally be. Flowers reluctantly wilting, green leaves gracefully golding, swallows winging farewell, hedgehogs hibernating, evenings earlier endings, logs gathered for future fires, time for some reflections, of summers giving pool, breakfasts under the bower, wands of wisteria above, shade from the chestnut tree, a book and some butterflies, children delightfully squealing, bathing in the hidden pool, walks in country lanes, a welcome jug of ale, holidays set us free to discover secret coves, traffic jams and scones with cream, wind and rain colluding, but still a perfect day. Now time to reap the harvest, gather onions and the rest, gently set the cuttings in self-created loam, tuck up the garden to bed. Winter will surely come, so of course will spring, and autumn is as autumn is.
Thank you, Andre. And now Rob Lock's going to read John Meacham's poem, The Buzzard, and then his own poem after that.
Thank you. John Meacham's got two poems in the anthology. One is called Heron, and this one is The Buzzard. And they're an interesting pairing because in Heron, the heron poem compares the heron throughout to an old man. There's an old man at the heart of this poem as well, but it begins and ends, as the title has it, with a reference to a buzzard, which I'm sure is there, but it's emblematic as well. So interesting pairing. The Buzzard. A buzzard circles. On the ground, life stands still, mesmerized. The cough of winter lingers, persistent, for weeks now. He shivers among the yellow flowers. In the wilderness, there are no words. Silence is daubed on the trees, on the ground, and in the sheltered room, where short breaths herald a sunset. His blank face leans against the wall with a permanent cigarette. Life stands still. Overhead, the buzzard soars. And love in old age. As this will not last forever, they have turned apprentices, learning what the other does, has done for them for decades, with bed linen, houseplants, bread, bank statements, smoke alarms, each hoping not to draw the longer life short straw.
Thank you, Rob. And now Lynn Nesbitt's going to read her own poem first, and then one by Carol Ferguson.
My poem is a haiku, and it has layers of metaphor in a very, very short poem called Family. The train pulled my heartstrings taut across a bridge, humming with love's vibration. And I'm now going to read Carol Ferguson's poem, Obsessed with the Weather. While pointing to the weather map for north, south, east and west, the meteorological forecasts and the British are obsessed. Wherever on this isle we be, Land's End to John of Groats, the British man or woman rarely leaves without a coat. And at the merest hint of rain, to us it would be folly to take the chance of getting wet. Go out without a brolly. Yet there's another piece of kit that's gone right out of fashion, a really useful article. Embrace it with a passion. The humble hat is what I mean, for warmth and shading sun, the poshest of occasions perhaps, or even just for fun. But there's a problem with the hat, especially the cap. It tends to blow off in the wind unless it has a strap. I found the answer, and I'm trying out a scheme. It needs a bit more testing till I share it with the team. Though if I'm seen without my hat when walking in the town, it isn't wrinkles on my brow. It's where my hat screws down.
Many thanks, Lynn. And people will have gathered we have now moved into the ripples of laughter. So, next one is John Horn.
This poem is called Fairy. The Christmas fairy whispered thank you as she was yanked from the box by Jasmine. It was the first light she had seen for over 11 months. Sadly, her early optimism soon disappeared. She saw the Christmas tree in the corner, tall, proud, and erect. She knew what was coming.
Thank you, John. Just think of all those Christmas fairies sitting in their boxes waiting. Colin, please will you read us your limerick?
They haven't got long to wait, have they? Next time you're visiting zoos, beware of the fake gnu's. They're cows in disguise, and it wouldn't be wise to accept or encourage their views.
Thank you very much, Colin. Alexandra.
Swimming at Sizewell. The white dome shone, a mosque without its minarets. Nestled among the brutalist blocks, it purred to itself in the dunes. The shingle sang as we clambered across, threw our clothes in a pile and our fears to the wind. We'd laughed about the extra heads, unwanted toes, reptilian scales as we came for a swim of the dangerous kind. Come in, the water's lovely, someone always says. Waves breaking at my feet, I tested with my cold, tingling toes, shivered at the thought of the moment of dread when I'd drop into the deep to tremble and gasp with exultation. We bobbed about, wallowing in the swell, limbs let loose to battle the current that edged us slowly past fishing boats, painters, picnickers, excited dogs. A lone figure watched, too sensible or scared to drown or worse. I fought the underwater forces back to the start, to emerge dripping and glowing. We drank tea, ate cake, ignored the dome, wondering why the water had really been so warm.
Thank you, Alexandra. It's a very wry smile at the end, isn't it? And to finish us for this evening, Fran, our wonderful editor.
Sleeping with other people's clocks. And I was asked to read this last because it's Christmas. So it's to get you all in the mood. Sleeping with other people's clocks. It's Christmas time. Imagine that clock in the spare bedroom, careless of whether you're awake or asleep, cheerfully counting life's seconds away. 3, 4, 5, 6. I ask you, which is worse, the visible flick or the invisible tick? Don't be disheartened, be prepared. The wife can pack presents, you pack solutions. Leave the sledgehammer, it could end a friendship. Pack a dark cloth to drape over the digital, or if it's an analogue, pack a large Kilner jar to stifle the tick. Even better, pack a screwdriver and a bottle of 3-in-1. You need a smartphone to capture the cogs before you dismantle. Lightly oil all moving parts and reassemble. The final solution could delight your hosts and bring you more clocks, an added bonus to absolve you from playing charades. The wife's just pointed out that removing the battery might be simpler.
If you'd like to unmute now, you can all have a good round of applause for everybody, and then Fran will finish the evening for us.
Brilliant.
Very good. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the members who, I mean, Ripples would be nothing if it wasn't for all your contributions. I have been beautifully supported by our referees, which are Lynn and Sue Wallace-Shaddad. It's been amazing to see the work that Colin has done in putting it all into fancy stuff, and then it goes off to Derek Adams, and he puts it into MailChimp, and it looks even more fantastic. So it's just a huge joint effort from everybody, but nothing would have happened if you didn't send in the material. So please keep it coming. I think you do, actually. It does keep coming.